Thank you for tuning in to Success with Jess.
Hey, welcome back to Success with Jess. I'm your girl Jess, and if this is your first time tuning in, I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're a new agent, a seasoned pro, or just someone who loves some raw real estate realness, this podcast is for you. Here we get into the real talk, the behind-the-scenes truths, the lessons they don't teach you in class, and the mindset shifts that truly make or break your success. Today's episode is a big one. We're talking about knowing your wealth. And I don't just mean the money in your bank account. I'm talking about knowing your value, your time, your energy, and how to protect it in this wild world of real estate. Let me take you back to a moment that shifted everything for me. Early in my career, I landed a high-end listing. I mean, gorgeous, dream property. The kind of listing that would make my portfolio sparkle, especially as a new agent. I was so pumped. I saw it as my big break, but the seller threw me a curveball. They insisted I take a 1.5% commission, and I said yes. Not because I thought I wasn't worth more, but because I wanted it so bad. I thought exposure would be worth the discount, that it would lead to more deals, more credibility, more doors opening. And yes, some of that happened, but do you know what else happened? I worked my behind off for a fraction of what I should have been paid. I marketed the heck out of that home. I did professional photos, a pre-inspection, open houses, follow-ups, custom social campaigns, staging consults, and so much more. I poured my all into it and ended up exhausted, underpaid, and low-key resentful. That experience taught me one of my biggest lessons to date. If you don't know your value, someone else will set it for you. And they'll always set it lower than you deserve. Let's talk about understanding what you really bring. Here's what I wish someone told me back then, and what I want you to hear loud and clear. Clients aren't just paying you to put their home on the MLS. They're paying for your strategy, your market knowledge, your negotiation power, your ability to solve problems when deals go sideways, because they will. They're paying for you to get them to the finish line with as little stress as possible. And here's the thing. If they don't understand that, it's not necessarily their fault. A lot of people have no idea what goes into this job behind the scenes. One of my favorite real estate quotes is, if your client thinks you didn't do much, it means you did everything right. A common misconception many sellers believe is that they're just hiring someone to take pics and do paperwork. So you have to make it crystal clear what they're getting when they choose you. Here's a little line you can use, and I've used this in real life. When you hire me, you're hiring a full service expert. I'm not just here to open doors. I'm here to protect your investment, negotiate your deal, and guide this entire process from start to finish with precision and care. That's what my commission covers. Boom. Confidence, clarity, no apologies. Let's get a little deeper and talk about the emotional toll of undercharging. Because here's what people don't always want to talk about. When you undercharge or undervalue yourself, it doesn't just hit your bank account. It hits your mindset, your energy, your peace. I'll be real with you. When I took that 1.5% listing early in my career, I told myself I was doing it for the exposure, for the portfolio, for the future. And yes, all of that technically came true, but what I didn't expect was the way it made me feel small. You start to feel bitter, overworked, undervalued, and that trickles into everything from how you talk to clients to how you market yourself to how you show up for the next deal. I remember questioning everything. Did I position myself well? Do they not think I'm worth more? Am I even worth more? That one decision planted a seed of doubt, and for a while I carried that energy into other deals. I found myself negotiating against myself, second-guessing my fees, accepting less, and convincing myself it was fine because I needed the deal. And let me tell you, that is not the place you want to be operating from. When you don't feel valued, you don't show up as your best self. You second-guess your instincts. You hesitate on decisions. You stop trusting your power. It wasn't until I really sat with what that experience taught me that things started to shift. I realized I can be grateful for the opportunity and still know I deserve better. I know especially for newer agents, it's tempting to say yes to anything, to take that lower split or smaller check just to get your foot in the door. But listen to me, you are not less valuable just because you're newer. You still have to eat. You still pour hours into your clients. You still show up and do the work. So don't let desperation dictate your pricing. Let conviction guide you instead. Now, if you've already been in the shoes I was in, you can be thankful for where that experience led you and still promise yourself you'll never compromise like that again. Now, let's talk about one of the hardest but most powerful things you'll have to do as a real estate professional. Walk away. And it's scary, I get it. There are going to be moments in your career when everything you want's to say yes, to keep the deal, to please the client, to avoid the confrontation, but deep down you'll know it's not right. Maybe they don't respect your time. Maybe they're pushing back on your value. Maybe the relationship is just straight up misaligned. And I've been there. In fact, just last week on the podcast, I told a story about a seller who hired me, but as the market started shifting and I kept them updated on price changes in their neighborhood, they began to blame me. Not the market, me. Even though I had been completely transparent from the jump, multiple visits, honest conversations, price adjustments based on real data, they still decided to walk away from the listing. It stung, I won't lie. But here's what I had to remind myself. My job is to be honest, not to tell people what they want to hear. And my value doesn't decrease just because someone can't see it. Truthfully, walking away from that deal politely, professionally, and without resentment was the best decision I could have made. Had I stayed, I could have drained my energy, time, and peace. And I probably still would have been blamed in the end. If you want the full breakdown of that situation and how I navigated it, check out episode 3. We dive into it all. Here's the truth. Protecting your peace is part of knowing your worth. Sometimes you've got to let go of the wrong deal to make room for the right one. And trust me, when you do, the right one always shows up. The right clients, they will never question your worth. They'll trust your guidance. They'll respect your process. And they'll refer you over and over again. Not because you discounted your value, but because you stood confidently in it. The minute you stop chasing validation and start attracting alignment, that's when your business shifts. Say it with me. I don't chase, I attract. And I attract what aligns with my values. If you're listening to this and you've ever doubted your pricing, questioned if you should lower your fee to just get the deal, let this be a reminder. You are allowed to charge for the value you bring. You're a professional, not a favor. You're not for everyone, and that is a good thing. Your wealth isn't just about your bank account. It's about your energy, your boundaries, your knowledge, and the way you carry yourself in this business. Let me pivot, and let's talk real quick about where that confidence starts. Your listing presentation. That's your moment to set the tone. A successful listing presentation isn't just pretty slides and pricing comps. It's your opportunity to show your process, explain your marketing strategy, walk them through market conditions, share past success stories and real results, and most importantly, set expectations with clarity and confidence. It's not about overselling. It's about educating your clients so they feel safe, informed, and confident in hiring you. Because when you understand what you bring to the table, price becomes less of a conversation and value becomes the focus. So don't be afraid to lean into that. Speak with confidence, present with passion, and never shrink your worth just to win the deal. The more you own your wealth, the more abundance flows to you, and the more your dream clients will find you. That's a wrap on this episode of Success with Jess. If this lit a fire under you, share it with a fellow agent. Don't keep this energy to yourself. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a dose of real estate realness. Until next time, keep knowing your wealth, keep showing up for you, and as always, keep creating success with Jess.
Thank you for listening to Success with Jess. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, like, and share.